Let's talk about binoculars. First, here are some factors to guide your choice. Try to get the spectacular top-of-the-line binoculars, namely Swarovski, Zeiss, and Leica. But if they cost too much for your budget, then try for slightly less spectacular but still excellent brands, notably Nikon, Vortex, and others. As a general rule, never buy binoculars that cost less than $400, but you can get very good ones for prices between $400 and $600. Some of the top-of-the-line brands have more affordable models, as well as their flagship models, which are just amazing, but they cost $1,200 up to $2,000 or more. When you're talking about power in binoculars, always buy 7, 8, or 10 power, no more and no less. The only exception is if you are able to spring for models that have image stabilization. I'll talk about that in a moment. Get bins binoculars that have objective lens diameters that are in millimeters, multiples of 5 or 6 of the power. A multiple of 6 is best, and 5 is the bare minimum. Less than a multiple of 5 will not gather enough light for you to see animals well in dim shade or deep shade. Thus, a 7 power binocular should have objective lenses of at least 35 millimeters or preferably 42 millimeters. That's a multiple of 6. Now, 10 power binoculars are a bit challenging to use in that the image tends to wiggle a lot, making it hard to make out fine details of pelage or plumage. So I really prefer 7 or 8 power. If you have a bigger budget, a super fancy but highly recommended option would be the image stabilized binoculars, 12 power or even 15 power. Notably the models from Canon. Image stabilization is amazing with binoculars. Now, turning to cameras, there are so many ways to think about cameras that it makes me dizzy. Before deciding what kind of camera you should buy, the first question is, what is your goal? Good photos to help you remember the trip? Or rather, very, very high quality photos to blow up and frame, or to put on high resolution websites, or to submit to photo competitions. If you wish to go one step up from your iPhone or Galaxy, then I strongly suggest sophisticated point-and-shoot cameras, particularly the Nikon P900 or P1000, which have simply unbelievable optical zoom, greater than 80 power. Now, a lot of the zoomed photos will be out of focus unless you put the camera on a tripod. But some of the photos, quite a few of the photos, will be in focus, even without using a tripod, so that's amazing. But for the most spectacular photo results, you're going to want to get into serious single lens reflex, so-called SLR cameras, or even the lighter weight mirrorless camera bodies, both of which have a large variety of interchangeable lenses. In alphabetical order, the leading brands are Canon, Nikon, and Sony, but a few other excellent brands are out there also. The most extreme telephoto lenses that people buy for their camera bodies normally are not larger than the incredible 600 millimeter f4 lenses from those 3 leading brands. Other lenses that are highly recommended are the 100 to 400 millimeter zoom lenses of the leading brands. Now, in most cases, tripods are not that necessary. If you do want to get into tripods, then try to use Manfrotto or Gizzo brands, as they are so much higher quality and more durable than most of the less expensive tripods. I must say a few final words about watching animal behavior versus documenting wildlife in stills and video. I highly recommend that photographers bring and use good binoculars during their outings. Photographers who decide not to carry binoculars at all are going to miss the chance to watch entire behavioral sequences that are several minutes long, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes long. And also will have a much harder time finding distant animals to then locate with their telephoto lenses. Often photographers are so busy studying the backs of their cameras to see how the last shots turned out that they miss seeing the fascinating, often quite complicated arc of behavior of the animals. One final comment about still photos versus video. I always suggest to photographers that they make sure that they grab 7 seconds, 10 seconds, or 15 seconds of video of interesting behavior rather than taking only stills. It is amazing how many people only take stills, even though a 10-second video clip can often be more compelling than the very best still images of some complex behaviors.